Donald Trump is back in the White House as the 47th President of the United States, and this time, things are shaping up to be wildly different from his first term. With a sharper focus, clearer objectives, and a political landscape more favorable to his agenda, the new Trump administration promises to bring seismic changes. Get ready, America! The return of a different Trump. Donald Trump's political journey is nothing short of extraordinary. In 2016, he defied all odds by becoming the first person in United States history to win the presidency without any prior political or military experience. As a New York businessman and reality TV star, his unorthodox campaign style captivated and divided the nation. His tenure in the White House left an indelible mark on American politics, society, and governance. Yet his first term was also characterized by resistance from both his administration and the broader governmental structure, often stalling his most controversial policies. Now, as Trump embarks on his second term, he returns not as a novice, but as a seasoned political strategist, ready to reshape the federal government on his own terms. Trump's first presidency revealed the deep societal divisions, exposing America's fault lines on race, class, and ideology. It also demonstrated his ability to command attention and maintain a loyal base, despite, or perhaps because of, his polarizing rhetoric. He wielded his presidential platform to amplify his agenda, often bypassing traditional media outlets through his infamous 26,000 tweets. While his unconventional approach garnered fierce loyalty among his supporters, it also fueled some of the most intense political polarization in United States history. In his second term, Trump appears more determined and focused, with a key strategy already in play. Schedule F. This executive order, originally floated during his first term, reclassifies thousands of federal civil service positions, enabling the president to replace career bureaucrats with his own appointees. This move represents a seismic shift in the federal workforce, dismantling the entrenched system of checks and balances that has long defined United States governance. With this plan, Trump aims to consolidate power and ensure his administration faces minimal resistance from dissenting voices within the government. Trump's second-term agenda isn't just about policy changes, it's about cementing his legacy as a disruptor of norms. His approach reflects the lessons learned from his first presidency, where traditional channels often obstructed his vision. He now seeks to streamline decision-making processes, operating with the efficiency and loyalty he values in business. Critics warn that these changes could erode democratic safeguards, while supporters argue they are necessary to break through bureaucratic inertia. Immigration. Next, a key topic that dominated discussions throughout this presidential race was immigration. Donald Trump's return to the White House promises a seismic shift in United States immigration policies. While his first term popularized the slogan, "Build the Wall," this time, Trump's vision extends far beyond physical borders, with a robust focus on internal enforcement. His plans aim to target undocumented individuals who have resided in the United States for years, marking a dramatic escalation in deportation efforts. Such an ambitious undertaking would require unprecedented collaboration with local and state law enforcement, particularly in Republican stronghold states like Texas and Florida. Trump's commitment to the mass deportations, on a scale previously unseen in American history, is clear. Critics argue that such sweeping actions could face logistical challenges and court battles, but Trump's base remains steadfast in its support for stricter immigration measures. This tough stance resonates deeply with his supporters, who view immigration enforcement as a cornerstone of his leadership. Beyond deportations, Trump's policies are expected to tighten visa sponsorships and increase workplace compliance enforcement. Under his administration, programs like H-1B will face heightened scrutiny, with stricter wage requirements and narrow definitions of specialty occupations. Students and spouses benefiting from programs like optional practical training and H-4 work authorizations may see these opportunities vanish. Meanwhile, consular visa processing and travel could become more arduous, with increased delays and restrictions potentially disrupting businesses and families alike. After immigration, abortion rights were an important discussion point in the campaigns. Social policies and abortion rights. When it comes to social policies, abortion remains a contentious issue. Despite stating he would veto a national abortion ban, Trump's actions, such as potentially reviving the Comstock Act, could effectively impose nationwide restrictions. The Comstock Act, a relic from the 19th century, bans the mailing of abortion-related materials. Its enforcement could severely limit access to abortion services, even in states where the procedure remains legal. For women's rights advocates, Trump's second term represents a significant rollback of reproductive freedoms. The Supreme Court, then one of Donald Trump's most enduring legacies from his first term, was his reshaping of the Supreme Court. By appointing 3 staunchly conservative justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, Trump shifted the court's ideological balance to the right, creating a 6-3 conservative majority. This transformation has already influenced landmark decisions on abortion, gun rights, and religious freedoms, cementing Trump's impact on American jurisprudence for decades to come. As Trump embarks on his second term, this conservative-leaning Supreme Court is poised to play a pivotal role in advancing his policy objectives. The justices have shown a willingness to entertain expansive interpretations of presidential authority, including decisions that could shield Trump from legal repercussions for actions taken during his presidency. This precedent effectively broadens the powers of the executive branch, granting Trump significant latitude to act without fear of prosecution, a development that could profoundly alter governance and accountability. Moreover, Trump's influence on the judiciary doesn't end with the Supreme Court. His previous term saw the confirmation of over 200 federal judges, many of whom share his conservative philosophy. These judges will continue shaping legal outcomes in lower courts, reinforcing Trump's agenda on issues like immigration, environmental regulations, and healthcare. If additional Supreme Court vacancies arise during his second term, Trump's ability to appoint more justices could solidify conservative dominance for generations. This judicial stronghold ensures that Trump's policies will endure long after his presidency, affecting everything from individual freedoms to the balance of power in government. Economic nationalism on steroids. Next, economic policies under Trump 2.0 are set to include a sweeping 10% tariff on all foreign imports, a bold move that reflects his commitment to economic nationalism. While Trump argues this is common sense to protect American jobs, economists caution that such tariffs could drive up consumer prices and hurt industries reliant on global supply chains. This approach isn't new for Trump. His tariff policies during his first term were a mixed bag of success and controversy. However, this time, Trump seems poised to double down, even if it risks alienating some members of his own party. Foreign policy. Trump's foreign policy approach during his first term was often described as America First, a doctrine that prioritized national interests and a more isolationist stance. However, in his second term, it's clear that his foreign policy could evolve, becoming even more assertive and less concerned with traditional diplomatic norms. One of the most prominent areas where this shift may occur is in the Middle East, specifically regarding United States relations with Israel and the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In Gaza, Trump has consistently signaled unwavering support for Israel's government, particularly its more right-wing factions. His administration's previous decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem was a bold statement of alignment with Israel, marking a departure from the historically neutral stance of the United States in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This move was widely criticized by Palestinians and much of the international community, who viewed it as a provocation. In a potential second term, Trump's approach to Israel may become even more aggressive. He has suggested that Israel should take a more hardened military approach, including endorsing military strategies that could lead to the continued displacement of Palestinians. Unlike prior United States administrations, which sought to balance support for Israel with some degree of humanitarian consideration for Palestinians, Trump's rhetoric indicates a potential shift toward offering Israel a blank check when it comes to its military actions in Gaza. this could result in a further entrenchment of Israel's territorial control in the region. Such a stance could have profound geopolitical consequences. Critics warn that this unilateral support for Israel could inflame tensions with Palestinian groups, leading to heightened conflict and even more displacement of civilians. This may also exacerbate existing tensions between Israel and neighboring Arab nations, which could result in destabilizing effects across the broader Middle East. Furthermore, many foreign policy experts argue that this unwavering support could damage America's reputation as an advocate for human rights and justice, especially in the eyes of global critics who view the Palestinian struggle for statehood as a legitimate cause. Beyond the Middle East, Trump's second-term foreign policy could see the continued disengagement from multilateral organizations, including the United Nations and NATO, as well as an increased focus on bilateral trade agreements. His preference for one-on-one negotiations with world leaders, such as those seen with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, could redefine how the United States engages on the global stage, sidelining traditional diplomatic channels in favor of more transactional relationships. In Europe, the United States could continue to pull away from the European Union, particularly as Trump expresses skepticism about multilateral trade deals and the role of international alliances. Trump's policies may lead to a focus on pursuing America's interests at the expense of long-standing partnerships, further straining ties with European allies and reshaping the global power dynamic. Trump's America First foreign policy has already shifted the United States from a leadership role in many international organizations and agreements. In a second term, the strategy could evolve to reflect a more aggressive stance, particularly in the Middle East, while possibly deepening America's economic and political isolationism in other regions. The deep state and the IRS purge. Trump's disdain for the so-called deep state is well documented, and dismantling it remains a top priority. In his second term, Trump has hinted at the possibility of weaponizing government agencies like the IRS to target political opponents. Imagine a scenario where businesses or media organizations critical of Trump find themselves subject to punitive audits or investigations. Such a reality would mark a dramatic shift in the role of government agencies, potentially undermining the foundations of impartial governance. What this means for America. Trump's return to the presidency heralds a new era, one that promises to be even more polarizing than his first. With a more cohesive team, a reshaped judiciary, and a clear roadmap for advancing his agenda, Trump 2.0 is poised to leave an indelible mark on the nation. For supporters, this is the culmination of their hopes for a stronger, more decisive America. For critics, it's a call to action to defend the institutions they believe are under threat. Either way, one thing is clear: Donald Trump's second term will not be business as usual. In the coming years, the world will watch as the United States embarks on this unprecedented chapter. Whether you're cheering or bracing yourself, there's no denying the transformative potential of Trump's next 4 years. Hold on tight. This is going to be a ride like no other.